Hello, welcome to Framework, and we are returning to Baltimore today to talk about The Wire again. I am Al Schwartz. With me, as usual, is John Bernard.
Hey.
John, how'd The Wire Season 3 treat you?
The Wire Season 3 is one of the best seasons of television ever made. I had so much fun watching this. God damn. Wow, this is good, man. This is even better than I remembered, and I remembered it being one of the best seasons of one of the best shows. It might be the best season. I don't know. I'm excited to catch 4 now again, because that was my favorite in memory. But this one, man.
Do we need to do, set aside a full season ranking session for the last one of these?
That's actually an interesting conversation. I would have it. It's worth it. It's worth thinking about, because this show, my God, the highs that we are hitting on The Wire at this point, man. Well, I don't know. It's going to be between 3 and 4. For me. It really is. This is peak Wire, peak TV, peak HBO. This is when all the best shows on TV right now are at their best. Everything is on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, this came out around time, I believe, the same year as The Sopranos' 5th season and the Deadwood's 2nd season.
Shit.
Which arguably the best, the 3 best seasons of all of those shows, which are arguably the 3 best shows ever made. It's awfully coincidental that by my objective calculus, the 3 best shows ever made came out when I was in college. Really, with very few obligations more important than keeping up with prestige TV shows.
I do wonder about that. Are we wrong? Is it the time and the place? This is what we came to when at the right age. I don't think so. I think these are just
anybody trying to say that there's 3 shows on the air in 2026 that are as good as that is way more objectively wrong than we are.
That's correct. You're 100% on that, man. There's nothing as good as this on TV right now. Without doubt, right? There is not a show that is happening right now anywhere near this level.
I've been watching Daredevil Born Again.
Which I am too.
Which is,
and this is it. Wire is not helping. I got to tell you,
that's exactly what I was going to say. Man, it does no favors to be doing this rewatch at the same time.
And it seems like it's kind of good too. It's not like it's bad, but it's just the contrast. It's just well, shit, man. I mean, we're doing,
And Season 3 of The Wire is not the yardstick to use to measure against Daredevil Born Again. It's just it is a different milieu, but
they're
it's
doing similar things, man.
Enough of the same stuff. They're in City Hall a lot, the race between the mayor and the police commissioner matters a lot in both these things. And man, The Wire really. I mean, if there's a downside to The Wire, it's that it makes other TV look so shitty, so casually.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's not helping with anything else I'm watching. Frankly, it's just too good, and it's the first 2 seasons are really good as well. But this season, man, this has a just one more episode kind of thing going for it that that I don't really associate with The Wire. This has elements of Breaking Bad, that sort of immediacy and drama and suspense. There's just a little bit. There's a little soup, a ladle full of that in season 3, and it's a really good flavor to throw into the rest of it. Man, it's never overplayed, never too much, but it's a lot more immediately tense than the show has been, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it might be overplayed in one scene.
Yeah, maybe a few, maybe a little bit of the Avon Park Stairs Stringer Bell. Yeah.
No, the Omar Brother Mouzone meetup. Is,
sure.
The Wild West.
Sure.
That's the one where it's one of my least favorite scenes in the whole of The Wire. Probably my least favorite. I feel like this is just stepping outside of the reality of the world in a way the show otherwise really never does.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit more forgiving of that because it's in the middle of one of the most exciting plot lines on the season, and
I mean, it's a lot of people would say it's the best episode of The Wire.
It's a really good one.
But okay, so that's what when we talk about ranking best episodes. When Chris and I would do seasons of The Sopranos, we would sort of compare and contrast our favorite episodes a lot, and The Sopranos is so much more episodic that is doable. The one where this happens is a thing there.
I find that hard to do with The Wire. Yes.
Yes, it's so consistent that it's hard to single out episodes. And so what happens there is, I think if people are going to single out episodes, it's just going to be the ones where the biggest deaths happened, the biggest, shakeups to the storyline. And there is a sort of artsy-fartsy critical thing of not wanting to pick the big obvious moments and say, actually, the Ryan Johnson Fly episode of Breaking Bad is really underrated.
Sure.
And that, in terms of stretching what an episode of television can be shaped like and do, blah, blah, blah. That's, my point is you don't want to go too far in that direction. And a lot of the times the biggest, most eventful episodes of a TV series are the best episodes, because they are what keep you engaged, between them for so long. The episode Middle Ground of The Wire, where Stringer, gets offed, is that it's the climax of this season, and this season as a whole, to me, is the climax of The Wire. It is what you said. That's what gives it that Breaking Bad quality you're talking about. Of there's plot momentum here. In a way, it is the peak. There's 2 more seasons after this. In a way, they feel like falling action.
Yeah. Well, if you look at a 5-act structure, I mean, that is what part 3 is. It's the climax. It's prologue, rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion. That it technically would be that, yes. And that is certainly the case in The Wire. And it doesn't seem like they were building to that, but it falls into place quite easily, which is sort of the metric of a good story well told in a lot of ways. But, even that is not really, like the narrative flow of The Wire, I think, is underrated in how strong it is, because we're so focused on the themes and the sort of civic ideas and sociological ideas, and that just the pure plot of it, doesn't necessarily get called out as often, but it's really, really good too, especially this season.
The things that are so distinctive about The Wire, and that you want to talk about, is sort of, first is the realism and the verisimilitude and the journalistic rigor that it brings, that is one of the main ways that it makes other shows look like shit, where you go from this right into something else and be like, would it have been so bad to just have somebody who actually knew what they're talking about, like really knew what they're talking about in this world, to have done this same storyline? Wouldn't that have been more interesting? But and beyond that, you have the civic themes, the social diagnoses of themes, and the pessimism of it, of the urban decay, and that gets a lot of attention too. And because of those things, I think they obscure that theatrical structure of it that it's also doing, and how it managed to embed that without wrecking the journalistic rigor aspects of it and making it feel so real. But the way, a Wire season really builds and climaxes ultimately like so cleanly. And that, again, in shows that whose details are not as perfect in every respect otherwise, that can feel so phony and constructed. And here we're talking about this follows perfect, ancient Greek theatrical standards.
Yeah.
and it feels just right, of course. How else could any of this have gone?
The Avon Barksdale Stringer Bell narrative is like a classic Greek tragedy as well. It is incredibly well constructed, where their fatal flaws are, the seed of their undoing, and and there's a symmetry to it. It's incredible that they have grafted this onto this sociologically sound depiction of civic issues. That these guys have that Greek kind of grandeur and inevitable tragedy to them, on top of being like just they feel like the real versions of these people. Like it's unbelievable.
Well, leading to the scene on the balcony, which is Shakespearean in its construction of how they've both betrayed each other, but already, but the other one doesn't know it. And,
in a way that Stringer has betrayed him in a business smart kind of way, and Avon's betrayed him in a street way. It's incredible. It's
that people cite that as one of the best scenes of the show. I love even one of my favorite scenes of the show, the earlier scene where Stringer finally reveals that he killed D'Angelo.
That's an amazing scene.
And I just love watching it this time. I was really like reveling in the construction of this dramatically because of how. Okay, so Avon was shot in a drive-by earlier, and Stringer comes to see him there, and so he's got fresh stitches in his shoulder, and Stringer's kind of reeling from realizing that he's being played by Clay Davis, and when he finally reveals, Avon needles him about his not being street tough enough, and he reveals that he killed D'Angelo, and Avon attacks him physically, and Stringer overpowers him, but because Avon's injured and all that, and just I loved the way that this is constructed, where they're both coming at this like into this scene from their perspectives that were really well established, but they're both weak in those perspectives. So Avon gets physically overpowered, even though he is the muscle guy, really, in this relationship, because Avon's bad decisions, not listening to Stringer, have led to him being weakened in that, in the war with Marlowe and physically. And then Stringer's coming at this from a place of weakness where Avon's able to needle him about, you didn't listen to me and you got played by these, you think you're the player and you got played. And the fact that they're like that gives that scene such a great dramatic charge. In addition to just, here's a big secret that's being revealed finally, which is, bread and butter stuff for a prestige anti-hero drama. That when Walter White's secrets or Tony Soprano comes out that Tony actually killed somebody that
right.
he's been hiding for a season or two.
Yeah, it's spectacular. It's the only word for it, man. Well, there's many words for it, but they're all like spectacular. Yeah. It's just as good as it fucking gets, man. I don't care what kind of show you are. Like this checks every single box that you would want from dramatic television, and building on the accumulated weight of this relationship and what we put into it and what we know about it. I mean, that's the whole scene, the whole season. It's every scene with these two guys together is excellent, charged, brilliant, as good as it gets. I mean, that's most scenes in this season, it feels like, but especially with Stringer and Avon. Man, I can't believe how well that comes out, is articulated, and exists. It's just, I mean, it makes these characters some of the best characters on the show, without question. Like, top 5. I don't know if Avon's top 10.
No, but and this season really like shoots Avon up those rankings quite a bit. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think Avon makes the top 20 or maybe 25 based on the first 2 seasons. But in this one, he really, through his conflict with Stringer and his sort of non-conflict with Cuddy, gives him depth and dimensionality that's so good. That was not necessarily apparent earlier, but we kind of impute back on him once we know it.
Yeah, he's still a man. Oh God, that scene is so good. That scene makes Cuddy, honestly, too. Like I was like losing my patience with Cuddy until that moment. Then I was all in. Yeah.
Well, okay. So season 3, as much as it's coming back to the Barksdales, tying up.
That's not even what the season's about.
Paying it off. There's also still in this expansion mode, and that's why he's so confident about introducing people whenever it was appropriate for what they were telling. And so season 3 has 4 new big important characters that is introducing to the entire fabric of the show. That
Carcetti.
You got Marlowe, Carcetti, Colvin, and Cuddy.
Of course. Okay. I mean, technically, Colvin.
Yada. He had his backdoor pilot in season 2. But he is introduced to us as a character here, really. And he's the central character of the season, would you say?
Him or Stringer? Yeah, I mean, this show doesn't really do central characters. But
true.
But yeah, I don't know. Stringer's right there. I mean, philosophically, I guess it's got to be Colvin. Like what the season is about from a bird's eye view, he is the central figure in that. And I don't know. I have a lot on Colvin. Are we getting onto that because that is something else, man. That's incredible stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, wherever we want to begin, so, I guess, after 15 minutes of just gushing.
Well, it's going to continue gushing because what we've talked about so far is the harsh diagnosis of The Wire on American civics and the state of things on the ground in a major city, amongst the the lowest to the highest corridors of power to the slums where they're shooting up crack cocaine. It's been this wide view of how all these systems intertwine and fail each other, and no one person is responsible, but everyone's responsible in a way. It's a very pessimistic appraisal of where we are as a country right now, and you can't just keep doing that. I think you have to say something else. And The Wire now says, what do we do about this? What can we?
Well, it keeps iterating on it by applying it to different angles of the city.
Certainly.
It started out
but
policing the housing projects, and then we went to the docks, and we're going to go to the schools.
But in Bunny Colvin,
it doesn't play out as the exact same story each time to me.
No, it doesn't.
Looking in hindsight, it does resolve the same way every time.
But in Bunny Colvin, we actually get somebody who says, okay, so this is the state of things. What do you do? Like, other than just complain about this, other than just be, like, okay, well, everything's fucked. Is there active action you can do, something you can do in a city to make things better, to address these problems in a way that is going to help them? And he is at least trying to come up with something here.
Yes.
It offers an idea,
the answer is no.
a practical, real idea that you could do, and here are the pluses and here are the negatives. Here are the ways that it will work. Here are the ways that it will not work. It addresses some stuff.
Yeah, it is, and it's pretty scrupulous about not presenting it as a panacea.
Oh, it's brilliantly.
If we just did this, things would be fine.
Yeah.
They would be better. It's very, through like the Comstat meetings, it's pretty specific about things would be about 14% better.
Yeah.
Is what they land on. But that, and what's so great about the overall theme of reform and the failure of to reform the drug trade or the policing of the drug trade or the city more broadly in this is it establishes exactly why that's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mainly because we have characterized it as a war on drugs. And I think this bleeds over into a lot of other aspects of sort of American politics these days. But once you've done that, if it's not a panacea, you can't, if you're trying to wage war with a scalpel rather than a sledgehammer, when you don't fix everything right away, it's just going to be perceived as weakness.
Yeah.
And say, and people are like, this didn't, Amsterdam didn't exactly work. But the other, and, just brutalizing people on street corners every day equally, or to a greater degree, did not work. But that reads to the average disinterested voter as, well, they're trying harder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to support the plan that is harder and more brutal, because otherwise that at least doesn't taste like surrender.
And there's also third parties who can benefit by making it look bad, by pointing out the negatives, by highlighting the things that aren't working about Amsterdam to their own benefit, and that's easy to do. You can run on that. Essentially, this isn't even dramatized in a character specifically, but it's plain. It's plain from the Comstat meetings that everyone has to cover their ass about this. The way Burrell acts throughout, is just like no ass covering. Yeah. Ass covering is what this is about, and if he doesn't do that, he will be out.
He's an entirely rational actor.
Exactly. The system has correctly shown him that if he doesn't cover his ass first and foremost, it will be out the door, because that is how the system works. It's essentially what Bunny Colvin's doing too. It's he's trying to improve his stats, and this is just the best idea he can come up with.
And I like how we ultimately are very sympathetic to Colvin, but how unromantic The Wire is about establishing his motivations and be like, yeah, he wants to feel like he's done something good going out the door. He's not pie in the sky ever thinking this is going to solve all of Baltimore's ills. He doesn't really expect it to last. And he's very direct about saying, well, I can do this because I've already got my pension. I'm retiring in a couple months anyway, so I'm just may as well try some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only reason. Like there's a reason he didn't try this 5 years earlier. or 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
And partly that's because he was worn down and morally or whatever, that the cop getting shot eventually sort of shocks him into action. But mainly it's because I'm quitting anyway, and I may as well see. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, what we're doing is not working. Let's at least try something else. They can't say we didn't try something else if we do this. And that is that is heroic in the context of Baltimore on this show. Yeah.
But again, the Wire ultimately, I think, has a depressingly accurate diagnosis of this is a flaw in democracy, is that you can get punished for trying.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy.
You likely will.
If you did something incremental, that can be spun against you by somebody who's going to have an even worse idea.
So you're incentivized to not try. You're incentivized to be Burrell. You're incentivized to be like, well, no, I'm just going to yell at the guy lower on the totem pole, and and there'll be consequences for him if he can't figure something out. And but it's basically,
and that will look strong and active in the moments when it needs, when the cameras are on it needs to.
Mm-hmm. Ugh, so good, so incredible. Bunny Colvin, Robert Wisdom, an excellent performance, iconic character. This is such a fantastic piece of work, top to bottom. For those reasons you were saying, he's not some sort of noble reformer. He's not, the version of. He's not the City Hall version of this. He's not who Carcetti is presenting himself as, for example.
Right.
It is very, very practical, and that flows down to his.
He's not romantic.
No, this flows down to his lieutenants too. This ends up being the best use of Herc and Carver so far in the show. Seeing how they respond to this and what this triggers in them and how it feels different and unique and appropriate for them each. And
this is something I love too about this season specifically, is that one thing The Wire's been very consistent about, and in a way that I feel like can start to feel a bit didactic after a while, is just that the problems are all with the bosses, and the bosses are such assholes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're stopping the McNultys of the world from doing the good work, and yada.
Well, McNulty's doing his own shit there too.
Yeah, and McNulty's a good characterization too, because we see in this, because now he's bucking against a boss who is in Daniels, somebody that we have affection for and a relationship to, and now we get to really see more from his perspective and Lester's of like how annoying it is to have and irritating to have somebody who's supposed to be working for you working against you, and particularly somebody you've shown loyalty to in Daniel's case. Mm-hmm. But what I love about the hamstring situation, what that brings out in this season is, and how it shows that the resistance to the reform is going to come from below as well as above.
Right. Yeah.
That he is getting his rank and file in line behind Amsterdam is difficult too. And I mean, the way that Colvin started to get Carver and the other like knuckleheads on board with Amsterdam is really reminiscent of Stringer trying to get Bodie and the other street kids on board with sharing the towers with Prop Joe in season 2 or joining the co-op now. And that is a conflict we see Stringer have not just with Avon at the upper level, but also it causes some dissension in the ranks below. And that kind of reflects what I'm talking about, that it's not just that if you try and do reform at a city level, you're going to get squashed by the federal level or whatever. It's the voters are going to punish you to a degree when your cure-all only cures some.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the thing that's most amazing for me about that is that Herc, who's not into the project, doesn't respect it, and ultimately calls the newspaper about it, is not really presented as being an asshole or wrong for that. Like his complaints are valid. When Carver is moving the corpse, across the street.
That is the bridge.
That's when he calls.
You know what, Herc? This is okay.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I'm on Herc's side.
And Herc is the dumber guy. Like we know this, but we can see like why this is chafing with him in a way that it's not with Carver. Like it's just good writing, as well as kind of being like, yeah, I do actually see the sides of this. I see why he feels that way, and and why this is it's just anathema to everything he's always been as a cop. So brilliant writing.
And Carver has got a great arc this season. And now we're getting into sort of the redemption of Carver here, because he starts out. I mean, it's interesting that Colvin towards the end of the season has a very similar kind of come to Jesus talk with Carver about the nature of the job that Daniels sits him down for at the end of season 1. But he sort of relapses in season 2 over the course of that. His guilt at sort of screwing over Daniels and thankfulness that Daniels not, really taking reprisal against him, gets worn down by just simple, like, petty frustration over season 2, and he kind of relapses here. And then this Colvin speech does seem to finally shock him out of it as well. It's just witnessing everything that he has with Amsterdam.
Well, he's also a true believer, which is like he sees what Colvin is attempting here and sees how it could work.
Well, not at first.
Not at first, but he gets there. And it's fun to watch that. It's rewarding to watch that, and it feels in character for this guy that we've seen over 2 years so far. And that it's not underlined either, though.
But with that,
it's so good.
Yeah, we're gonna see him next season just doing a lot better, and more trying with more intentionality to be a better version of this policing. But what that reflects to me is with the Prez situation in this season, and how Pez finally makes this tragic mistake that gets him drummed out of the police force. And in a weird way, we kind of feel like, so at the very beginning of the first season, Perez was the biggest screw up on the force. And it was clear that this guy should not be a cop. And now we kind of totally come around on him. And we're like, and you kind of feel like it's a tragedy that he is not going to get to continue now being a good cop because he made this mistake that on the scale of unjustified police shootings as it's developed since this season came out, this seems like an honest mistake.
Right.
But what the Wire makes with both Carver and Prez an interesting sort of argument for, you could have a bad cop actually develop into a good cop. Mm-hmm. Like, given time and enough chances to screw up and good mentorship. And I guess it makes sort of with Cuddy as well. And Bodie's other sort of
Bodie is
figures over time.
Oddly on the other side of that, yes. Uh-huh.
That it does not minimize how big of a screw up is. And when Prez finally does, he accidentally shoots the guy, and the other cops are talking about like things we know of in his backstory about what this fucking idiot. How did he last this long? Yada yada yada. And we're like, well,
it's so good.
Like, but they're not saying anything that's not true. And it is like it is weirdly, from the police side, makes an argument for rehabilitation as opposed to, I don't know, incarceration or punitive punishment. Like that, if people keep getting chances, some of them will actually do better over time. Is a strangely optimistic note The Wire manages to sing in without ever leaving its pessimistic.
Well, it does a hell of a job of never generalizing. Everyone is a specific person, despite their status or their specific role within the cosmology of The Wire. You know, anybody that you see is going to have levels and good days and bad days and good things and evil things, and there's differences, different parts of them, and they're going to be torn in a variety of different ways. Is there any outright black hat characters on this show? I don't know, Marlowe maybe, I guess, but
Marlowe, we're going to talk about.
Marlowe's pretty rough.
I think quite a few people come to view Carcetti that way over time. I think it's a fairly nuanced portrayal of a politician.
I agree.
And
you could even make the argument he is an idealist in this season, after a fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we won't make that argument in future seasons.
No, but I mean, that's the natural arc. It was so interesting. Like, when I saw that they had cast Carcetti as Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, I was like, oh, that's funny. That's really good. That's an incredible piece of baggage to bring with him into that role. And it kind of colors Carcetti now, I think, a little bit.
Maybe.
That we know Ian Gillan plays a sleazy fucking politician, better than anyone. This is his iconic role, essentially, is the schemingest, most Machiavellian evil guy in Game of Thrones. So seeing him as a fresh-faced young guy here, kind of overjumping his place in the order of things to run for mayor, it's hard to be like to not take him seriously as the progressive firebrand that he wants to present himself as. But I think it is legitimate at this point in his run. I think.
Yeah, I think his sort of guilt over screwing over his buddy Tony is genuine, and there are moments when he,
in the scheme of betrayals,
his other like white politician buddies are being kind of racist, and he's like, "Hey, knock it off!" And when the cameras are not on, and there's no he's not performing for any voters or whatever. Like, there's some level of sincerity there, but in order to rise these ranks, it also has to be. I mean, I think that's the argument the show's making anyway, that it has to be mixed in with a certain degree of self-regard and
most definitely
willingness to feel bad about killing King Duncan, but you're still gonna kill him if you're gonna be the Macbeth that's gonna take the throne.
Sure, and the way he treats his chosen cause in this, protection for witnesses to violent crimes, that is ultimately very much utilitarian. He's after it for a purpose. I don't know if that's the right word. He's pursuing it.
No, it's something that's easy to feel sincere about. Like, yes, of course we should be doing better for this. But he's also correctly identifying it as the biggest chink in the mayor's armor that he could exploit
at the moment.
So.
But he is also, and that's why I'm so fascinated by his reaction to Amsterdam. It is nuanced. He is actually interested in it, beyond, frankly, beyond the Mayor Royce's reaction to it, or Burrell's. He seems to consider it a little bit more nuanced than every other major authority figure on the show.
The show's very consistent about the nature of being a boss and an authority figure is kind of corrupting in that way, and that ultimately...
Raoul sees it, I guess.
I mean, the incentives, when you're coming up from below, the incentives are to try, think of ways to actually improve the city. And once you're up there, it's just about maintaining your position.
And also, when you're coming up from below, finding a way to hurt somebody else who's above. That's built into it as well. Which is why no one can open arm embrace Amsterdam. Really.
Yeah. It's too exploitable for those purposes. I want to talk to actually, you're talking about Aidan Gillen there and the casting, and that's something that's interesting to me about The Wire's got this phenomenal cast of actors that we had largely not seen before.
Right.
And to a huge extent have not seen it yet. Like, it has not launched a ton of careers,
Aidan Gillen,
given how huge and sprawling this class is, this cast is. But yeah, the exceptions to that, there are a handful. And I think The Wire's just been sort of blindly lucky in the way that has applied to roles where it doesn't hurt the show looking backwards. You have now we have Michael B. Jordan.
Sure.
But he is such a baby in this first season that presents as it's a child performance. That's Christian Bale in Empire of the Sun, practically. You don't even connect those dots necessarily. And then Stringer Bell, Idris Elba became a bigger star. Also more of a star in England, I feel like, than in America. Perhaps his big crossover stuff here didn't quite hit The Dark Tower, which we'll mention again for some reason. Landed with a big thud. But there's something about the Stringer character that it kind of fits for that actor to feel like he's a bit bigger than this, that Stringer thinks he's meant for bigger things. And so having a little bit of movie star swagger to that doesn't hurt that much.
He's also sort of just undeniable.
That applies to Kirk Hitty in a weird way too.
I mean, I agree. Ian Gillen's probably worked as much as anyone, other than maybe Idris Elba, in the aftermath of this, which maybe has more to do with Game of Thrones, but his face is very familiar. He'll show up in plenty of movies, stuff like that. He's just always around.
Sure. The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
His most iconic role. Khaki CIA.
Yeah. Elba is very obviously a movie star in this. Like, he is so plainly the most magnetic figure on screen, just physically. Like, he's just, wow, that guy is an incredible, just looking person.
But the sense that he feels like he's bigger and that he's drugged down by these.
Well, it makes the ending so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
His death scene is, I mean, one of the great death scenes for me, I think, specifically in the way he plays it. I love the writing on that sequence, in that it is to the point, but it is so, I don't know, it gives him a dignity and sort of a grace in his exit that, you know, was not afforded to, say, Michael B. Jordan, maybe. No. But it feels incredibly consistent with who we've come to discover this character is over the course of the season. And his foibles and his weaknesses, you know, he's still able to kind of die well, so to speak.
Yeah, I had heard a rumor that at one point it kicked around that Omar was going to pee on the corpse after they shot him, and then Idris Elba like refused to countenance that. Which, if true, it's like, I understand as an actorly, not just ego, that kind of like maybe you need to protect your own image a little bit.
Yeah,
but also like ultimately would have been the wrong note to end that scene on. I think.
Yeah, I don't need that.
Yeah. Somehow, like, I guess the idea is that it was, you know, underscoring how like Omar's sort of going out of line here a bit or whatever. I don't know, but it's clearly the wrong move.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's just a cool death. It's just a good scene as written. So I don't. Yeah, like, why fuck with that? But
it's our Avengers team up moment that people. I mean, this is before we had a Marvel Cinematic Universe, and
welcome.
Just
he is Heimdall, of course. So we're bringing that to it now.
No, I just mean bringing Brother Muzard and Omar, like, after a season off. It's like a payoff you weren't expecting, and you know, our nascent movie brains, impression brains, like, oh, that's just not the thing that you would do in this show, and it would be too difficult to sort of pay something off from that long ago. And now it's more par for the course. I think people showrunners aim for that kind of. Well, now it's a Game of Thrones thing too. Is a big part of that is the payoffs are after 3 seasons. Now this person's showing up over in the Dany storyline, and that's exciting in a way that we.
I mean, the thing is, like, that's, I think, one of the things Game of Thrones actually fumbled hardest on is a lot of the what were supposed to be the satisfying payoffs for things they had set up end up being kind of wet farts a little bit, you know. Brienne gets a revenge on Stannis.
Season.
You know, the Hound and the Mountain finally going to have it out. And none of that stuff was as good as you wanted it to be. Kind of, It was better when it was subverting that stuff. I think Wire gets away with it because it usually subverts. You know, like
yeah. And I think Brienne and Stannis is a decent example of it actually working there. But that's also sort of maybe an inflection point in that series, where things stop working as well right after that.
That's true.
But that's sort of, okay. The Wire also, on a more muted scale, its ending, widely acknowledged to be its weakest section.
Sure.
And this is the middle seasons where Game of Thrones is really humming. 3 and 4 to an extent 5. That is the equivalent to The Wire season 3, where things are still... things are climaxing and paying off in big ways, but also still in the expansionary mode, where it doesn't feel like we're really got to wrap everything up now. And
yeah,
I don't know, that weirdly, because we're still introducing new characters and all that, it takes some pressure off the big payoffs from being everything, the final statement on everying. You know, it's really hard to live up
this
to
could have been the end of the show right here, and it would have been
it was designed to
very complete. 3-piece story here, easily. And I'm glad it's not, because the stuff coming, you know, especially in 4 is the show at its best as well. But yeah, like, you can see the arc finishing here, and it's fascinating that the fact that the show continues, it kind of just underlines and highlights that in real life there are not arcs per se. Like, it just leads to the next thing. There's another chapter, another thing that will happen, you know? Yeah, the Barksdale crime dynasty is now gone. it is removed from power. But that doesn't mean that, drug crimes are going to stop. It means that, Marlowe's going to step in. We've established this. There's always a next thing. There's always a next chapter. We don't live novelistic lives. We live in reality where a satisfying arc is not guaranteed, and it never really resolves until you die, I guess. But then everything else continues as well. So, that sets that apart from all the other great TV shows, maybe. I mean, Sopranos and Deadwood have an element of that too, but they're a lot more plot arc based, I'd say.
Well, Sopranos is much more perverse in its subversions of those. When it does an anticlimax, it really rubs your nose in it.
Indeed, but it also is sort of it is a structured, decisive, choice. Every anticlimax, it resolves a narrative in a fashion.
Yes,
nothing resolves here, kind of.
But in a way,
well, Avon's story resolves. I guess it. Stringer's story resolves, but the story continues without him.
I understand maybe this is a weird hair to split, but with The Sopranos, to me, it feels like when it's doing that, it is deliberate, but it's more like poking me in the chest as the audience, being like, you wanted this because movies have told you it's supposed to, resolution means this, means killing the other guy or whatever. And this is something different, and you're going to have to sit with that. Whereas The Wire does the resolution, but it is just like, Avon's story's resolved. It doesn't fix anything.
Yeah. No, the larger story is, it may be getting worse without Avon, actually. Everything kind of gets worse, really. It seems to be the case.
It definitely does. Marlowe is so much worse. I mean, I think maybe we can save our big, Marlowe.
There's not much Marlowe here.
Talk for season 4.
More than I thought.
Because he will be so central there.
But, there's...
That's the thing. He's in it more than I remember, because I think the first time through, my TV brain was still wired so much thinking, this is a seasonal antagonist to keep Avon busy for some stuff, but ultimately the Barksdales will beat this upstart kind of nobody. He's an asshole.
And they would if their attention wasn't, diverted to other places that were ultimately where their stories land. Marlowe is a distraction for them. He's not the narrative. I mean, he has the ability to surprise a little because of that, but ultimately he just outlasts them because their other shit takes them apart.
Yeah, Marlowe doesn't have... Marlowe's such a blank. And this is what I guess, I mean, I think we'd say for season 4, but whatever. I dislike Marlowe as a character because he is an immoral, murderous, irredeemable piece of crap. But also, even as... the Barksdales are so much more charismatic as a scene partner for anybody to deal with. Then Jamie Hunter, I think, is giving the performance that's being asked of him and doing it well. But the way in my mind, Marlowe has a way of delivering lines, speaking dialogue without moving his jaw. And it's just so blank and nothing. And that does lend an element of tragedy to the ultimate fall of the Barksdales, that it does feel like there's beyond just Marlowe would never finance the boxing gym.
No.
The show is less fun with him at the center than with Wood Harris and Idris Elba.
I think that's a verisimilitude thing too. I feel there are, plenty of bad guys who are not that dramatic and don't have really interesting personalities to latch onto.
Exactly. But in a way that also that plays into the plot elements of his success in this war. It almost comes because Marlowe has no other character or life or distractions.
Yeah.
Whereas
he has no other plot lines.
The Barksdales have history. Yeah. They have character arcs. They have shit to deal with that's coming back to bite them from character arcs of prior seasons. That they're distracted and divided by D'Angelo's murder and by Stringer's, Avon's unwillingness to compromise and Stringer's unwillingness to be frank with him about the prop chair situation last season led to all him trying to use Brother Mazone and Omar again as weapons against each other, and that's coming out to bite him in the ass, and that's a distraction. And their relationship to the detail, even that McNulty's got a hard on for these guys going back a couple of years, means that they are more of a target than Marlowe is of these outside influences.
Absolutely. I see like a parody between Valchek and McNulty in this season, honestly. Like the pursuit of Bell almost feels like the pursuit of Sabatka from the previous. It's just sort of, an obsessive drive that is, it seems based on not valuable things anymore. Like this is making.
That is an interesting thing too, how that plays out, especially because I recall watching this the first time through. This was an earlier age of anti-hero TV, right?
Yeah.
And so I was getting more comfortable with the idea that maybe we're not supposed to like the protagonist at all times, and that's okay if
right.
that toys an asshole and all that. But as I'm watching it this time, so the split there is that at a certain point they're ordered, the Major Crimes Unit is ordered to look into Kintel Williamson, some name that is bandied about we never really see on screen. And McNulty is still like, no, we should be sticking with Stringer Bell. He's the guy. And I always kind of knew that, yeah, this is partly McNulty having an Ahab relationship, but he wants to keep chasing his white whale. But I think I had more faith in, but the show wants to be that ultimately, like, McNulty might be an asshole, but he is correct about where the narrative of the show should be focused. And that
sure,
ultimately, like,
yeah. I mean, the real reason for it is to set up that like they catch him and then he's killed before they're able to do anything about it, which is another Greek
sure.
tragedy thing. Yeah. So,
but as I'm watching this, and they like McNulty and even Kima, I think at times they're like, Kintel Williamson, like, who's this? Like, this nobody or whatever. But they established that no, he's done 3 or 4 murders recently, and that's why you're being redirected away from the crime syndicate that hasn't murdered anybody recently. And that is, even by McNulty's terms, more important police work. Like, I don't know why he's dismissing these murders on the other side of town just because they haven't been on screen for us. And
because he's subject to the same shit as everyone else.
Yeah.
He's subject, the same kind of obsessiveness and character flaws and deflects. Well, he's got more than his share, really. He's going to obsess about things and make it about him and his narrative. This is the thing I do like in David Simon shows is that the characters themselves often think they're living within a novel, and then the reality of the world kind of contradicts that, or doesn't reward it at least. Their own narrative journeys are not going to necessarily satisfy in the way that they are looking for.
Yeah. Well, my point is, I guess I was impressed this time around. But I mean, I like this as a character flaw. I mean, even by his own terms, he seems to be wrong in trying to get them to stay on Stringer when there are not. I mean, ultimately, Avon getting out and starting a war with Marlowe will retroactively make him correct there that maybe there are more bodies on this side of the town, but there aren't when he's making all that trouble.
Yeah.
And
it's also a thing that would have resolved.
It seems like he was a better target,
right? I mean, I guess ultimately,
yes, it does ultimately.
But McNulty's great this season as well. Like, again, I'm really into this performance. I really like what Dominic West is doing. I think he's at his best this year. Again, I think he's wonderful. Now, as written, I think McNulty's obviously a less. He has plenty of screen time, but he's a less impactful character in most ways. I think his relationship with what's her name, Teresa D'Agostino, is that it?
Yes,
Carcetti's campaign manager. I love that. I think their scenes are terrific together, and I especially love how it plays out. Their last scene together is amazing. Yeah. I like that character in general. But
that's too like the bad date that they're on.
So good.
Oh God, this is it is great. And then finally, when she's trying to pump him for information, and that's like one thing where he's like, oh well, I know when someone's being interrogated.
Mm-hmm. With the way that connects him to the Carcetti
a dumb
story.
Shit with a dumb dick too.
Yeah, the whole thing is really just clever and fun, and I am still rooting for McNulty to kind of get his shit together at this point, and I guess ultimately I always will be in the show, even as he gets worse. But like this is a nice. He actually does have a satisfying arc ultimately over 5 seasons, and I think this is part of that. Mm-hmm. And not just.
I mean, it was designed to be in the at the time very likely scenario where this was the series finale. This was designed to wrap up his arc, and then we're going to get a couple more seasons. I like that they don't force him back to the front of the narrative right away, but ultimately he's got sort of a relapse, not unlike Carver goes through in the first 3 seasons, where he has to learn the same lesson kind of again and hopefully it sticks this time.
Well, that is how people behave, really. I mean, it's certainly how the Sopranos sees. That's the whole philosophy of all of this.
But that's a difficulty of trying to make this thing that's also very useful for TV production, for people to be stuck in the same ruts every time, and for the same people to show up at Cheers every day and sit in the same stool, to present that in a way that feels true on a human level and not just like a convenience for narrative TV storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the show at its best. This is the magic. This is what's so incredible about it. All right, so let's see. We've talked about. You know what I do want to.
We haven't talked about Cuddy.
Yeah, we got to talk about Cuddy. Okay, this is a character that I found boring the first time I watched it. I would have to say. This time I really really like Cuddy. Obviously, I mean. It's a ray of sunshine, in a sense, into this world. To see somebody actually improving, to see somebody trying to help
within the structure of this even within the structure of this season too. That is a character comes out of jail, tries to go straight for an episode or two, relapses a bit, and then goes and does it for real. And then goes straight for real. Like that is amazing. The show is very consistent about that, I guess. And it's connected to the 12-step world too through Bubbles and the Steve Earle character too. And that relapse is such a real part of recovery, I guess. Is a theme of that I did not associate with The Wire prior to this little rewatch we're doing.
That is interesting. Yeah. The actor is fantastic. He's another one of those guys where you're just like, where has this guy been since this ended?
Exactly.
I mean, he's been working.
He was on The Expanse for a bit.
Oh, I
kind of wasted him there.
I got to get onto that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good show. It's frustrating in some ways, but
yeah, I've heard enough. I think I got to check it out.
You're gonna see Chad Coleman show up early on and be set up to be kind of a big figure, and you're gonna think like, oh, that could be fun, and then they're just gonna kind of not really use him much. It must be. I almost wonder if there's a behind the scenes thing. He wasn't available for as much as I thought. And then ultimately, David Strathairn is going to come in, and he's going to take up some of the space that Chad Coleman would have, and that's going to be a ton of fun.
See, that sounds fun.
He's got a ridiculous space accent that he's really, really leaning into.
This show sounds like a cross between Wire and Battlestar, honestly, and that sounds great. So I'm very curious.
It wants to be. It's not as good as
Right. Well, that's the other part of it. Chad Coleman's also on the Orville, which is another space show that he plays like a Klingon guy, because that's a Star Trek parody.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have Michael Dorn vibes. You know what's weird? Sorry, stay on The Expanse for one moment.
Yeah.
Also, oddly, that space show, one of the main characters prominently, the piece in our backstory is from Baltimore.
So it's sort of a sequel to The Wire, is what you're saying.
Kind of. You go to Baltimore in The Expanse. It's weird. Connection. Anyway, incredible performance, like you said. I love this guy. And you know what? I remember at the time, I think part of the frustration the first time through, particularly if you were watching this as it aired against The Sopranos season 5. And Steve Buscemi was going through a similar sort of gets out of jail, relapse thing. And it felt kind of like, oh, there is a preordained path that this character is on, which is true for like the first 7 episodes of the season. And then he abruptly steps off of it, and the character becomes so much more interesting once he's removed from, the most exciting, interesting parts of the show, which is this
that's
like gangbanging.
Weirdly true, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it really wakes up for Cuddy, I think, when he in that scene when he with Barksdale, where he's just like, I don't have this in me anymore. The game changed or I changed, but it's just not there. I'm not able to do this, and it's completely straight and honest. And it feels like, what are you doing telling him this? And then Barksdale is also elevated by that scene because he's just like, yeah, well, understood. Still a man. All right, there you go. Again, that's so good.
Anti-hero shows have developed to that point now, where 5 seasons of The Sopranos, I am primed to think, oh, this is. Somebody comes to Tony Soprano with that same speech, and Tony's going to say, okay, fine, you can go. And then as soon as they're out the door, he's going to turn on. You expect him to turn to Slim Charles and say, all right, go kill him. Or when he comes to him for money for the boxing gym later, and you're like, the Sopranos had trained me today. Well, everybody who comes to a gangster in The Sopranos for charity is going to wind up getting screwed over even harder if they just said no somehow.
Right.
And that's just not how this works. It's a different anti-hero show, in many ways just as pessimistic, some ways more, but not in the same ways.
Well, Avon's self-image is, I think does allow for him to be a good guy occasionally. Like, like he is able to help his friends, help the community, do things like that because he doesn't think of himself as the bad guy. He's not, he thinks of himself as a gangster. There's different connotations for that for him. And, he's the hero of his own story. And that includes helping out these people after a fashion. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, but it was totally not clear to me leading up to the scene when Cuddy asks, says he's leaving, that allowed for him to allow that his self-image would allow him to allow Cuddy to leave, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. No, it does. Uh-huh. And it's a different code than what we're used to seeing. It's certainly from like the Italian mafia. It's just it's a different nature. Like he also knows that Cuddy's not going to go to the cops about any of this. Like he's aware of that.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the type of thing on The Sopranos. They would know that for about 20 minutes and then decide it's
right.
And Stringer is a different story. D'Angelo didn't.
Stringer would go to the cops.
Took the years. Well, Stringer wouldn't trust somebody else not to go to the cops either.
That's true. Yeah, you wouldn't do that to Stringer. You wouldn't give that speech to him. Expect to get anywhere.
Presumably, Cuddy's not in the game. He's not going to catch any more charges if he's out of the game, so he wouldn't have an incentive to rat on him.
Right.
But
right.
But it's just I just love the way that whole scene is written and performed. Mm-hmm. I think Cuddy is very direct and also kind of shrewd about how he phrases it in a way to say, I'm done with this. I can't do it anymore, but present it not as I'm better than this.
Yeah.
Say, like I'm not strong enough to do this like you do anymore, is how he presents it in a way that maybe makes that go down smoother with Avon. But but ultimately Avon's very, very supportive of his friends, getting sober. It's weird.
And I love when he comes in to ask for money for the boxing gym, and he has like a structured reward tiers. That's really fun. Ivan's just like, none of that shit. What do you want? Hey, $25,000. So good. That's all wonderful stuff. And it really does sort of. I mean, even if they're thinking about ending, it's crazy. If they're ending in season 3, this is kind of almost would feel like wasted time. It's not, but it would. It's not built to a payoff per se. As is, it is setting us up so well for season 4. Just in the that we're already starting to think about. Okay, well, what are young people born into this going to do? What happens with them? What are the options for them? That is civically what the preoccupation of the next season are, and they've already started setting the table for it with Cuddy.
Yeah. Well, in the way that the gym intersects with Amsterdam, and I think makes so powerful like this. I mean, I'd heard always, I think my whole life, I still do, and it's easy to gloss over it, how like the importance of activities for kids and like after school activities. It sounds like a platitude or whatever. And the way that this situation dramatizes how quickly these kids are benefiting from that program. And then once Amsterdam shut down and Marlowe's it's back to the drug trade as normal, and they're back at work basically. Mm-hmm. And that feels tragic in just a quick shot of Cuddy sort of taking in, I gotta start over recruiting kids now because I only had my first crop because they were out of work from Amsterdam.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, this show will never be optimistic about that sort of thing. Clear-eyed. It's gonna, find the truth of it. But it also does keep finding these people who are going to strive. Who are trying to improve stuff. In ways that maybe aren't even clear to them. That they are unable to articulate exactly why, or maybe even for less than noble reasons, like McNulty, or whatever. I mean, well, that's not unlike Deadwood, actually, is that people's self-interest sometimes intercepts with the greater good in a way that's interesting. That happens less on The Wire, but just in canvassing all of humanity, you're going to find characters like Cuddy.
What's interesting to me, contrasting The Wire and Deadwood, is that one is about the
decay,
formation of community, and one is about the decay of American civilization. One's about the formation of American civilization, and I think because of that, it is sort of the coming up from below versus coming on top thing. That the characters in Deadwood are constantly surprising themselves by how much their self-interest aligns with a greater good.
Yeah, and it's always satisfying to see. Always.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, Deadwood's also made by a genius. It's also great about not just doing the same version of it over and over again.
Right. The shows don't feel similar moment to moment by any means. Well, I don't know if that's. I mean, well, obviously they do in the sense that they're part of this, this cohort of HBO dramas that are really pushing the button at a very specific time and are kind of taking the sociological view of the country and of their characters. So, I mean, I guess they have that in common, but the way they go about their business is different, and
for sure,
and equally pretty satisfying and fun to listen to. Speaking of that aspect of it, I guess. I don't know, some words for the cops, I guess. We've talked a little bit about McNulty, but and Herc and Carver. There's some other great ones going on here. It's a good Freeman season, as always.
Well, do we want to address it by the way I think we did one earlier? Is this the best season for any of these characters?
Oh, okay. It's the best season for Rhonda. How about that?
Yes, I'll do that.
It's the best singer.
I think it's the best season for Stringer.
Yes, I think he's my MVP.
We don't need to.
Yeah, I think Idris MVP for the season. It's maybe an easy answer, but whatever. Come on, he's amazing this year.
Okay.
So best season for Avon as well, obviously.
Stringer and Avon for sure.
Yeah, let's see. Best
Rhonda's a good one. I don't know if it's the best for Daniels.
No, I don't think so. He's good, though. It's a good Daniels season. I think you could make the argument it's the best season for Freeman, even though he does not have major plot lines.
I mean, it's either this or the first season when he gets to sort of come off the bench and have a bit of an arc. But he when he's undercover here doing his sort of con artist thing with Bernard and Squeak.
That's fun.
That's some great stuff for him.
It might be Clay Davis's best season to that end.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's great shit. Probably.
I mean, this is the best Colvin season.
Oh,
There's only
obviously.
two really. But if that counts. And I mean, the best Cuddy season for much that's worth. They have continuing storylines, but like.
Might be the best Herc season.
The best. Herc's got a lot more to do next year.
Right. Okay. Yeah, he sucks more, though.
He comes off a lot worse than that. But we're talking about dramatically. We're not talking about like as human beings. This is them at their best. It's as TV characters.
Is it the best Landsman season? It's the best Landsman moment, I think.
When he gets to do his first Irish Wake monologue.
The Irish Wake. I want to take on Irish Wake moment. One of the great scenes of The Wire, I think, and something that lives forever inside me kind of moment. It is gorgeous. It's like a sociological moment. It feels so incredibly like it feels like you're there and you're part of the thing. In a way that
very much
is just really, really specific and cool. And the choice of that song, feels so evocative. Giving that moment to Landsman, I think it is his best moment on the series. To perform the speech at the Irish bar wake.
Yeah, but he's obviously like really shaken up by this. And it's so weird how much characterization there is in that of Landsman, who's not a deeply characterized figure otherwise. But you can tell he's really shaken up by how hard he's taking this surprise death of this detective that you can tell he did not really respect as a detective.
Yeah. He's drunk. He's a level of drunk too, as this is all coming
that we don't usually see from him.
It's great.
And that's all like inflected by the fact that detective was played by Robert Colesbury, who was a producer on the show and was sort of a godfather.
First name you see at the end of the show.
So he was beloved by the entire crew and I guess and the cast. So I think that's why suddenly Ray Cole is getting this level of reverence from the show.
Dave as much as admitted that, that was about Robert Goldsberry is why we did that. But man, it's good, though. It's so amazing.
But characterizing two Lansman that way is brilliant.
Yeah.
It feels so like such a real, odd, unexpected note, but just fits this movie perfectly.
Yeah. It's a wonderful, wonderful sequence.
And the way it gets across the sort of all cops being culturally Irish.
Yes.
is great.
Even like Kima's, like...
yeah. Bunk and Lester are singing along with the Pogues.
So great. I don't know. There's another cop in a bar scene. Rawls. How about that? That's fun.
That's like a fun Easter egg. I don't know. I have a ton to say about it.
Not really, but
like I feel like honestly, I it's a thing where I occasionally I wonder if like is he worth doing that because is it a little too like facile of a characterization to be like, oh, he's such an asshole because he's frustrated by being in the closet, and is that like?
I mean, technically, we don't even know that he's in the closet.
For him? Technically,
we don't know that.
Oh, we know from the rest of the culture of the police department.
Yeah, I guess so. It's an interesting my jaw dropped again this time. I was like, oh, whoa, I forgot that was happening. Because I guess it has no bearing. Is why I forgot it. It doesn't change.
Yeah, it doesn't. It does not come back.
But that whole sequence, actually, the hunt for Omar from Brother Mouzone, I think that's actually pretty interesting stuff. I like that is included. Again, Mouzone, I think this watch through, yes, I've come to agree with you. This character is not well handled. He's kind of a silly guy, which is odd because he's the least silly character in presentation.
He's the most buttoned down, but yes, it reads as silly to me. Mm-hmm. The guy's just enunciation choices strike me as such choices.
Mm-hmm. Like, is he doing a Malcolm X impersonation? It's very odd. Yeah. I don't love it. But again, it does lead to some really good scenes, and including that Stringer death scene. But no, I mean, even just the small moments in the gay bar with his agent, going in there and being uncomfortable are pretty good too.
His agent, one of the sort of like real life Baltimore figures here, that when as a child he was sort of the focus of David Simon's book, The Corner. That and he and his mother, his mother was addicted to drugs, and the structure of that book is kind of following their struggle over a year or something like that. And he gave, when that kid grew up, he gave him this acting job.
Good for him.
We're also seeing the real life Jay Landsman plays Bunny Colvin's second in command, the guy with the salt and pepper mustache and the just
really
perfect Baltimore accent.
I had no idea.
That's his name is actually Jay Landsman.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. Fair enough. That's really funny. That guy's good. He has a lot of gravitas. Yeah.
There are two. Okay. Then one of the other detectives, like the bald white detective, that after the Irish wake there comes out when Bonk and McNulty are puking on the street and hands them more drinks. Mm-hmm. But Norris is the detective's name. But he was a real life Baltimore police commissioner who also was then convicted of fraud and corruption and went to jail. And then now I believe is a like big radio personality in Baltimore. But he is, I guess, a well-known Baltimore fixture.
That's kind of cool. Okay. Well, I mean, if you guest star on The Wire, you're halfway there, I would think. Is this show beloved in Baltimore? It must be, right?
It must be. I think. This show, I think, does love Baltimore.
As dire as its prognosis is, this has got to be just like they got to be into this there because it's such a good show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it lovingly presents some of the that.
I wouldn't be surprised if
it's the reason why I, as a Midwesterner, know about lake trout and pit beef.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is more popular in Baltimore than Treme is in New Orleans.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, which is an unabashed love letter to New Orleans. And still,
yeah, but it's also the creators of The Wire are homegrown to Baltimore,
right?
Whereas there's a little bit of their coming in from out of town in New Orleans. New Orleans also, its thing is more well known. Like Baltimore, I think it's just been on screen so little that you're going to appreciate.
That's true.
It being there, and like I said, it is ultimately, I think, a loving depiction. And as dire as its prognosis is, if you're paying attention to it at all, I think I'd come with it knowing the prognosis is these problems are not Baltimore problems. These are America problems.
Yeah. I mean, you should be able to imply that from The Wire, for God's sakes. But I know you've got the bad actors, right? Who can, well, no one. I guess there's not a concerted like anti-The Wire campaign going on at any given time.
Well, Mayor Martin O'Malley, former mayor, did he eventually become governor of Maryland? I forget. But Martin O'Malley.
Oh, did he literally do this? Yeah.
He was the mayor for part when the show came on first, I believe, and supported it for the first season or two, and made an about face and decided that actually it's making Baltimore look like a crime-ridden hellhole and where you would never want to visit. And
I'm sure that was politically advantageous to him at the moment. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it totally came right around the introduction of the Carcetti who David Simon insists is not supposed to be Martin O'Malley, but acknowledges as he's one of the figures in the stew.
Wow, that's funny. Okay. Yeah. All right, did we? I don't know. It's a lot of a season here. Did we catch on all the big stuff? Did we?
Oh my God, we must have left out some big things.
Yeah.
I like the. I mean, we didn't hardly talk about the co-op, about taking notes on a fucking criminal conspiracy.
Yeah.
About 40 Degree Days. There's great speeches throughout this whole.
Mm-hmm.
I loved sort of almost. It's not quite sitcom-y, but almost farcical stuff in the early season where they've been wired up on Prop Joe for a while as we enter the season, but haven't been getting anywhere. And so their solution is to arrest one of his lower level lieutenants, who they're certain will not flip, but just on the hopes that he'll promote his idiot nephew
right
to replace him. And the justification is like, why would he? Why do you think he'll promote the wrong man? And well, we do it all the time.
Yeah, that's good.
Like Daniel says that kind of as a joke that Burrell laughs at, but also seems to be their actual philosophy of lives. And then you get the dogfight stuff with Method Man that leads to a bit of a sitcom misunderstanding.
Yeah, that actually was a moment in the season I was like, is this going to be a little dumber than I remembered? No, it's fine. It's having fun for an early episode before Amsterdam gets in. Yeah. It's and it also seems like something that really happened. It feels very like that's based on a true story, is what it feels like. I don't know if it is, but it has the whiff of it. Yeah.
Okay, well, there are two things I think we still have to talk about here.
Mm-hmm.
One, is this the best bunk season?
No, it's not the best bunk season.
What? Because bunk doesn't really have season arcs necessarily. I mean,
no, I think it's a fair thing to bring up. I actually think Bunk has one of the bum note sequences this season, which he performs very well.
The Omar scene?
The Omar scene, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was saying that's performed so well that maybe just has to make this the best bunk season because it's got the best bunk scene.
Bunk's good in that scene. The effect it has on Omar, I do not buy. I don't think that rings true at all for me.
Okay. Well, I will say I think this was a crucial scene to include. Maybe you won't buy that that's such a glass of cold water in Omar's face, but we needed that glass of water in the audience's face because the romanticizing of Omar was really starting to take up steam.
Okay.
And we needed to take down the image of him as both a larger than life figure to a degree, and also just as a figure of morality. This is the guy who put the game according to Batman rules or whatever that we all respect.
Right.
The need to puncture that a bit was.
I'm also putting myself back into the cultural conversation of The Wire at the time, and he was definitely the breakout cool character. He was the exciting guy that probably the most fun character on the show. That the first one you heard about
is also one of the most fun characters on the show, actually.
Well, no, I mean Omar, though. Like Omar specifically. Like you probably heard about Omar before you heard about anyone else. And when you're being told.
Sure, but the point I wanted to make was that I think it's important for that dressing down, the puncturing, to come from one of the other fun characters on the show.
Okay.
And not from somebody who was just more buttoned down or whatever. If that comes from Lester, I don't know if it lands in the same way. Lester is established as a voice of moral authority in a way that Bunk does not typically engage with moral authority, with that, a preacher's passion.
On the other hand, I think if that comes from Lester, I think maybe I buy Omar's response a little more. I don't know. Maybe that's more. Maybe that's just a little more obvious.
If it comes from Daniels or Freeman, I think it's easier for Omar and maybe by some extension the audience to write off as, okay, you're somebody who's prone to self-righteousness anyway.
Yeah.
I hear about all of that. That rant is coming from a character who's not self-righteous generally, I think makes it land harder. With the audience, obviously you disagree about it landing with a character that way.
Bunk really does sell that. It's a very good performance of that material. And I do get the funny mental image of young teenage Bunk trying to show up at the gang party, and I can see that better than Friedman, I suppose. Okay, you turned me around a little on that, but I'm still probably give it to Bunk over in season 1 or season 2 first. I think.
Okay.
I would say
I guess I'm trying to think of what are my standout Bunk moments besides that. It's maybe when McNulty has to pick him up when he's trying to burn his own clothes.
I love that.
In
Yeah,
the ladies' bathroom
that's
to
really fantastic.
destroy the fiber evidence. That's season 1. So maybe that's.
Okay, here's an interesting thing that I like that they did. Valchek is not a big part of this season. I think he is deepened quite a bit by the little material they do give him. Specifically that he is Bunny Colvin's like buddy and they hang out and talk. I think that's really fun, really interesting. And
I don't get a sense of they're buddy. I think
they're shooting the shit. They're like having meals together and they're sharing information. And in those scenes, Valchak is not revealing himself as a piece of shit, which usually he does. And so that I was kind of taken by. He still reveals himself as a piece of shit. He's still the same character. Yeah. But that's like later to Daniels, in other small ways. I think that just knowing that he has a let's just say cordial and professional relationship with Bunny Colvin improves my opinion of Valchek.
It's not super specific, but I get the vibe that Colvin worked under Valchek for some at least brief moment of time when he was starting out. And so Valchek still thinks of himself as Colvin's mentor, even if Colvin never really thought of him that way.
Actually, I like that just as well. That's good too. That really works for him as well. So I mean, I like that he persists on even without like narrative purpose and just as sort of part of the bureaucracy, part of the police department,
So part of the grander fabric of Baltimore.
Yeah, that's great stuff, and as it should be. And I guess they're doing that with everybody. We'll be seeing more and more of the mayor's office and the political landscape going forward, all this stuff. I mean, that's the thing. Like what we always talk about is all these things being connected. We haven't kind of specifically mentioned that, but this episode, but that is happening on such an innate and natural level at this point with The Wire, where it's just built into everything they do. Any sort of scene creation that they come up with is going to benefit from it. Like the conceit of having a McNulty date Carcetti's campaign manager, great idea, and then they get to those worlds cross-pollinate in that way, and brings out some of the best.
Yeah, even though
it's great.
There's not a plot sort of payoff to that. That she doesn't get info out of Amsterdam from him that is crucial to Carcetti's campaign, and he doesn't get any intel from City Hall that they put to any use. But it just does. It connects the world, and that so much of what The Wire is about is about how all these things are connected.
Well, and that world connection,
the individual players realize it or not,
and that world connection in turn informs the character relationship. I think that is their in-world connection kind of ends up being the catalyst for their resolution, essentially for where that relationship goes is based on their. So it's not the narrative being affected so much as it is the characters. The other way around. Yeah. It's the point I'm trying to make.
No, and it is such a good characterization of McNulty too, is that he's attracted to her because she is sort of higher status than him and all that. And then he realizes it's completely untenable when he realizes she might actually be smarter than him too.
She's
And
definitely smarter than
he
him.
actually has to be with somebody who's not as smart as him. Like, for him to breathe day to day, he needs to be the smartest guy in the room, or at least be able to believe that.
Trump has owned up to saying that's what he does. It's
Okay. Last thing we have to talk about. Yeah, mentioned. I can't make a credible case for MVP of the year for anybody really. I mean,
Idris.
it's a crowded field, honestly. Like, I think ultimately, this is one of those years in the '90s where, like, yeah, it goes to Jordan, but like Charles Barkley and Karl Malone, everybody are out there, and they're great. So, like, I can make a non-embarrassing case for Colvin or Cuddy.
Yeah.
But I can't. But this is more a sixth man of the year thing for Slim Charles. Maybe my favorite addition to the cast. I fucking love this guy. Just listening to him talk is so. There's an ASMR aspect to it. That maybe it's like his braids rustling while he's moving his head too, and his deep sonorous voice. But just talking about a person with immediate presence. Clearly a character is not designed to be that big or important, but he's filling Weebay's role, and he's another guy where I'm like, this person just has charisma just falling out of their ears, even when they're the third or fourth most important person in the scene.
I guess to that point, Snoop makes her first appearance this year, which is similar. Obviously, we're going to get a lot more of her next year, but another actor who's just immediately striking and interesting and compelling. That's like a straight up, just like from the streets of Baltimore casting, right? And that's
yes, and that's not even like we're going to see like one of the guys who was the main inspirations for Omar, have a bit part in future seasons. Oh yeah, one of the other Baltimore people, the guy who plays the deacon that helps out Cuddy. Was the main inspiration for Avon Barksdale. His name's Melvin Williams.
What?
And that's like
what? Okay.
Ed Burns was running the initial wiretap case on him to put him away, which was the inspiration for the first season's wiretap.
Wow, that guy is very good. That's surprised. I would have. Wow, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
But Snoop is basically playing herself,
right? Well,
as the fictionalized version of herself. But again. They use the actor's real name as Snoop's real name within the show.
That's a character that as soon as she's introduced, you're just like, oh, what the fuck is her deal? What's going on here? Yeah. This is interesting. Oh God. And obviously, she's not as threatening now as she will become.
No, they're not. She's not presented as central to the whole operation, and, as their most prolific murderer yet.
But I mean, that starts in, I believe, the first scene of season 4 is that starts happening immediately. So they know what they had there. And season 4, by the way, how excited are you for that, man? I am thrilled.
I think it's the best.
I do too. But honestly, I don't know. This one moved up in my estimate a little bit. This is kind of a perfect season of The Wire in so many ways. I don't have much to say against it. This is just as good as it fucking gets, man. So
we'll revisit that because I want to hear about this. Maybe there are maybe some weird ways where this is hurt by further seasons in the rankings.
That could be.
There are some aspects of this that if the series had ended here would make this stand as a more perfect season of TV to me. But we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's season 5. We don't have as much other stuff to talk about.
All right. Well, yeah. So season 4. That's the schools one coming up next.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Brace yourselves.